Elon Musk boards more private jets in a single month than most people take commercial flights in a lifetime. But according to flight tracking data, leaked schedules, and interviews with people who claim to have worked close to his operations, the way he actually moves around the world is far stranger than simply owning a plane. It is being described as a travel system built specifically to make him almost impossible to track, predict, or pin down. And when parts of it became public, it genuinely shocked people who thought they understood how billionaires travel. Most wealthy executives travel in a fairly simple pattern. They own or lease a jet, file a flight plan, and anyone with access to public aviation records can watch the plane move across the map in real time. For years, that is exactly how outside observers tracked Musk too. A college student made headlines for building a bot that published the location of his jet using publicly available transponder data. And that single project is reportedly what triggered a complete overhaul of how his travel is handled.
Instead of relying on one aircraft with a fixed tail number, reports describe a rotating fleet arrangement. Multiple jets, registered under different holding companies, are allegedly used interchangeably so that no single aircraft can be reliably associated with his movements over time. Ownership records get restructured, shell companies get created and dissolved, and by the time anyone connects a tail number to Musk personally, the pattern has already shifted again. Aviation researchers have said this kind of structure is not unheard of among ultra-high net worth individuals, but the scale and speed at which it was reportedly done for Musk stood out. Then there is the matter of transponder data itself. Commercial and private aircraft broadcast identifying signals that anyone with the right software can pick up. Some reports suggest that flights connected to Musk have used transponders that either broadcast incomplete information or briefly go dark during sensitive legs of a trip. Aviation authorities generally require this equipment to remain active for safety reasons, so any manipulation of that system would sit in a legal gray area. Musk has publicly denied that his jet is being hidden in any illegal way, but he has also been vocal about how much he dislikes being tracked, once offering money to the student running the jet tracking account if it would stop.
Beyond the aircraft itself, insiders describe a layered ground operation that mirrors what is normally associated with heads of state rather than a businessman. Multiple identical vehicles are said to leave a location at the same time, only one of which actually carries him, a tactic long used in political security details to confuse anyone watching from outside. Arrival times and locations are reportedly shared with only a small circle of staff, sometimes changed at the last minute after being confirmed. Hotel bookings and meeting locations are said to be made under different names, with real details passed separately through encrypted channels rather than standard booking systems. Security personnel connected to his companies are described as operating with coordination usually reserved for diplomatic travel. Advanced teams reportedly scout locations days ahead, checking for photographers, drones, and anyone loitering near planned routes. Given the volume of protests, lawsuits, and public anger tied to his business decisions over the years, the justification for this level of caution is not hard to understand. Someone in his position is a target for everything from paparazzi to people with far more serious intentions.
What makes this story land differently than typical celebrity security coverage is the scale of the operation and how deliberately engineered it appears to be. This is not just hiring a few bodyguards. It is described as an entire logistics network built to erase a predictable pattern, spanning aviation law, corporate structuring, ground transport, and old-school decoy tactics, all working together. Some aviation analysts have pointed out that if even a fraction of what has been reported is accurate, it represents one of the most sophisticated personal travel security setups ever built by someone who is not a government official. Naturally, this raises questions. If someone can restructure ownership of multiple aircraft, manipulate how those aircraft appear on public tracking systems, and coordinate ground movements with the level of secrecy typically reserved for protected officials, what does that mean for transparency and accountability for people who hold enormous influence over public companies, infrastructure, and even government contracts? Musk has argued that basic personal safety justifies this kind of secrecy, especially after he has said he has been the target of direct threats.
There is also the question of precedent. If this system genuinely works as well as reports suggest, other billionaires and executives may already be quietly copying elements of it. Corporate jet ownership structures have already grown more complicated across the ultra-wealthy in recent years, and privacy advocates argue this trend deserves far more scrutiny than it currently receives. Others see it simply as a natural response to a world where anyone with an app can track a private citizen's exact location in real time, and argue that basic personal safety should not have to come at the cost of public exposure. There is also a financial dimension that rarely gets discussed. Maintaining a rotating fleet of aircraft, multiple decoy vehicles, encrypted communication systems, and a dedicated advanced security team is not cheap. Estimates from aviation consultants suggest a setup like this could cost tens of millions of dollars every year once fuel, crew salaries, hangar fees, and legal structuring are factored in. For most people, that number sounds absurd. But for someone whose net worth fluctuates by billions of dollars in a single trading day, it is treated as a routine operating expense, the same way a smaller company might budget for office rent. That gap alone says something about how differently security and privacy function once wealth reaches a certain scale. It also raises a broader cultural question about visibility in the modern world. Ordinary people are tracked constantly through phones, license plate cameras, and social media check-ins, often without a second thought. Yet here is one of the most recognizable men on the planet reportedly spending a fortune to disappear from radar entirely, both literally and figuratively. That contrast is part of why this story resonates so widely. It is not just about one billionaire and his airplanes. It taps into a larger unease about who gets to control their own visibility in an age where almost everyone else has lost that choice. Whatever side of that argument feels right to you, one thing is clear. The story of how Elon Musk actually moves through the world turned out to be far more complex, more secretive, and more carefully engineered than almost anyone expected. And it forced a lot of people to rethink what privacy and security actually look like at the very top of the wealth ladder. Whether you view it as smart protection or troubling secrecy, this system has changed the conversation around how the ultra-rich travel, and it likely will not be the last time we hear about it.